Three little girls stepped out of a crowded grocery store and stared at the faded tattoo on a stranger's arm. Then one of them pointed and said something that made the man stop breathing. "Mommy has that exact same tattoo." The other two nodded. "It's on her shoulder." The man's grocery bag slipped from his hand. Because that tattoo wasn't common. It wasn't a design bought from a catalogue. It was a symbol that only two people in the world were supposed to have. One of them was him. The other belonged to the woman he had loved 20 years ago. The woman who disappeared without saying goodbye. What happened next would uncover a secret buried for decades and change 5 lives forever. Before we begin, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that sometimes fate takes the longest roads to bring people back together. At 48 years old, Ethan Walker had stopped expecting surprises from life. His days followed the same quiet routine. He lived alone in a small ranch house on the edge of town. He worked at a local horse rehabilitation center, cared for injured animals, and spent his evenings sitting on the porch watching the sun disappear behind the hills. Most people described him as kind but distant. He smiled often, yet there was always a sadness hiding behind his eyes. The truth was simple. 20 years earlier, Ethan had lost the love of his life, and a part of him had never recovered. Her name was Lily Hart. They had met when they were barely adults. They fell in love quickly, deeply, and completely. During one summer road trip through Arizona, they found a tiny tattoo shop in a desert town. Neither of them had ever gotten a tattoo before. Inside the dusty little shop, they chose a simple symbol, a small compass rose. To everyone else, it looked ordinary, but for them it represented a promise. No matter where life took them, they would always find their way back to each other. Ethan got the tattoo on his forearm. Lily got hers on her shoulder. They laughed afterward, promising they would tell their future children the story one day. But that future never came. A year later, Lily vanished from his life. No goodbye, no explanation. Her phone disconnected. Her apartment emptied. Friends knew nothing. Ethan searched for months, then years. Eventually, everyone told him to move on. He tried, but he never truly did. That Tuesday afternoon seemed like every other day. Ethan stopped by a grocery store after work. He picked up coffee, bread, and dog food. As he headed toward the parking lot, he noticed 3 little girls standing near the entrance. They looked about 7 years old and appeared completely identical. Triplets. Their curly brown hair bounced as they giggled and whispered to each other. Ethan smiled politely and continued walking. Then one of them suddenly froze. Her eyes locked on his forearm where his sleeve had rolled up. She pointed. "Look," she shouted. The other 2 stared. Then all 3 ran toward him. Ethan instinctively stepped back. "Excuse me," he said. The first girl pointed at the tattoo. "Oh, Mommy has that." Ethan chuckled. "Lots of people have tattoos." The second girl shook her head. "Not like that one." The third added, "Exactly like that one." Ethan felt something strange stir inside him. "Exactly?" he asked. The girls nodded enthusiastically. "Same shape," one said. "Same little star in the middle," said another. "Same everything," finished the third. Before Ethan could ask another question, a woman's voice called from behind, "Girls!" The triplets immediately turned. Ethan looked up. A woman stood near a silver SUV. She was carrying grocery bags and hurrying toward them. At first, Ethan couldn't breathe. The world seemed to tilt sideways. The woman's hair was darker now. Her face carried the gentle marks of time. But he knew those eyes instantly. Lily. It was Lily. The woman he had searched for. The woman he had loved. The woman who disappeared 20 years ago. She stopped abruptly when she saw him. The grocery bags slipped slightly in her hands. Her face turned pale. For several seconds nobody moved. Neither spoke. The triplets looked between them in confusion. "Mummy?" one asked. Ethan felt his heart pounding so hard it hurt. "Lily," he whispered. Her eyes filled with emotion. Ethan, hearing his name in her voice after 2 decades, felt unreal. The years between them vanished and returned at the same time. Questions flooded his mind. Why had she left? Why hadn't she contacted him? Why was she here? And why did her daughters know about the tattoo? The triplets sensed the tension. One tugged on Lily's sleeve. "Mummy, do you know him?" Lily swallowed hard. She looked at Ethan for a long moment before answering. Yes. Her voice trembled. I know him. Ethan noticed her hand shaking. Whatever was happening affected her as deeply as it affected him. The parking lot noise faded into the background. All he could focus on was the woman standing in front of him, the woman he thought he would never see again. Finally, Lily took a slow breath. The girls need to get home, she said softly. But Ethan, if you're willing, there are things we need to talk about. Ethan stared at her. 20 years of unanswered questions stood between them, yet something told him the truth would be bigger than anything he had imagined. He nodded slowly. I'm willing. Lily looked relieved and terrified at the same time. She reached into her purse and handed him a small piece of paper with an address written on it. Tomorrow evening, she said. Please come. Then she gathered the girls and led them toward the SUV. Before climbing inside, the triplets waved enthusiastically. Ethan waved back automatically. He stood motionless as the vehicle disappeared down the road. The paper trembled in his hand. Deep inside, he knew one thing with absolute certainty. The story he believed was over had just begun. If this reunion already has you curious about what happens next, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. The truth behind Lily's disappearance is something Ethan could never have prepared for. The next evening, Ethan arrived at the address Lily had given him. His heart raced as she opened the door. After 20 years, they finally sat face to face. The triplets played in another room while silence filled the space between them. Then Lily told him the truth. 20 years earlier, she had discovered she was pregnant. Before she could tell Ethan, she was involved in a serious accident while traveling to see him. During months of recovery, her controlling father convinced her that Ethan had moved away and started a new life. At the same time, Ethan received false information that Lily wanted nothing to do with him. Both had been lied to. Tears filled Ethan's eyes as Lily revealed something even more shocking. The triplets were adopted. Years after losing Ethan, Lily never married. Instead, she devoted her life to helping children. The girls had entered her life after losing their biological parents, and she adopted them together so they would never be separated. Ethan felt both relief and sadness. The girls were not his daughters, but seeing Lily again awakened feelings he had buried for decades. As they talked late into the night, they realized neither had ever stopped loving the other. But one question remained. Could two broken hearts find their way back after 20 years apart? Over the following weeks, Ethan became a regular visitor. The triplets adored him. They laughed with him, rode horses at his ranch, and filled the silence that had once surrounded his life. One afternoon, the girls handed Ethan a handmade card. On the front were the words, "We think Mommy smiles more when you're here." Ethan laughed through tears. That evening, he and Lily sat on the porch watching the sunset. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Lily reached for his hand. "I'm sorry for all the years we lost," she whispered. Ethan squeezed her hand gently. "We can't get those years back," he said. "But we still have the years ahead." The months later, surrounded by the triplets' close friends and family, Ethan and Lily were married in a small ceremony. As they exchanged vows, the triplets pointed at Ethan's tattoo and giggled. "That's the tattoo that brought them back together." Everyone laughed. The little compass that once symbolized a promise had finally fulfilled its purpose. No matter how far life had taken them, it had led them home to each other. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more emotional stories about love, family, and second chances.